Welcome to This Explainer. As a history professor looking at how we build and dismantle moral systems, I'm absolutely fascinated by how 21st century civilization processes public disgrace. Today, we're going to examine a recent, highly publicized broadcaster scandal. Now, we aren't looking at this as cheap tabloid gossip, but rather as a defining historical artifact of our time, a case study that exposes a massive fracture in our modern world. So let's dive right into our investigation. To really grasp modern public shame, we have to look backward. Making justice a public spectacle, that's actually one of humanity's oldest forms of entertainment. Long before social media, human beings gathered in village squares to watch reputations completely collapse. The technology has definitely changed, but I can assure you that the underlying psychology really hasn't evolved much at all. In our investigation today, we're going to trace the evolution of the digital pillory, dissect the two competing moral systems we live under right now, untangle why forgiveness is absolutely not the same as trust, look into the mechanics of the outrage economy, and finally, tackle the paradox of the infinite digital archive. So let's start with the digital pillory. I want to look at the historical roots of public shaming to see what's actually changed in our modern era. Think about the sheer shift in scale here. For centuries, criminals were locked in wooden frames right in the middle of the market square while villagers hurled rotten vegetables at them. The objective wasn't just the punishment itself, it was the performance of the punishment. Today, we've simply upgraded the technology from timber to broadband. The scale has exploded from a few hundred villagers to hundreds of millions of people online. But the psychological trial, it remains exactly the same. So, how do we actually decide if a disgraced figure can ever make a comeback? Well, society largely skips the strict legal definitions and relies on something psychologists call moral accounting. It's this invisible, incredibly complex calculation taking place unconsciously inside millions of individual minds. We instinctively ask ourselves these really fundamental narrative questions. We want to know, was it deliberate? Is there genuine remorse? Who even is this person now? We ask these things because human beings are storytellers by nature, not lawyers. We absolutely crave narrative closure and transformation. And this brings us to a fascinating fracture in modern civilization. The fact that we are currently living under two completely contradictory moral frameworks, operating at the exact same time. On paper, our legal framework is all about rehabilitation. Sentences actually end, there's a completion date, but right alongside it sits the court of public opinion. And this court, it's a relentless institution. There are no judges, there are no rules of evidence, and there is absolutely no end date. It never adjourns. And crucially, it has zero constitutional obligation to forgive anyone. We see this collision incredibly clearly in the case of former BBC newsreader Huw Edwards. He faced severe legal consequences for offenses involving indecent images of children. He received a suspended prison sentence, was placed on the sex offenders register, and departed the BBC. Legally, the justice system served its purpose and reached a conclusion. But while the legal system wrapped up, the fierce public debate just kept raging on, proving that a legal endpoint definitely does not equal social closure. Which naturally leads us to a really crucial distinction. Forgiveness is not trust. To analytically understand the fierce public reaction to his recent attempt to return via a newsletter, we have to untangle these two deeply conflated concepts. People mix these up all the time. Forgiveness is about resolving past resentment, while trust is about evaluating future risk. You might forgive someone for a past wrongdoing, meaning you let go of your anger, but that absolutely doesn't mean you immediately trust them again, especially in a broadcasting role that requires immense public confidence. It brings up this really vital distinction in a free society, the difference between having a voice and actually being listened to. Every citizen in a liberal democracy has the legal right to free expression, but nobody has an automatic right to an audience. Sustained attention is a privilege. It has to be earned and sometimes re-earned. So why do some disgraced figures successfully return while others are permanently exiled? And why does the media obsess over both outcomes? Well, welcome to the outrage economy. The underlying engine driving this whole spectacle is what we call attention economics. It's a system where visibility itself is the ultimate currency. Calm, rational agreement, that rarely travels very far. But fury travels at the speed of fiber optics. Outrage is simply the most efficient fuel we have. And that gives us the disgrace business model. Public disgrace is commercially incredibly valuable right now. Scandal attracts audiences, those audiences attract advertisers, the advertisers bring in revenue, and that revenue just encourages more scandal. It creates this endless cycle where modern media becomes permanently addicted to outrage. Now, enter digital platforms like Substack. What's historically significant here is that these platforms have completely removed the traditional editorial gatekeepers. It used to be that a comeback required permission from TV executives. Today, disgraced figures can appeal directly to readers, continuously negotiating their reputation in real time. The power has shifted entirely to the audience. All of this structural shifting leads us straight to the central, unresolved paradox of our investigation today: the infinite digital archive. Historically, human memory was a beautifully flawed thing. It faded over time, which allowed communities to evolve and reputations to slowly heal. But the internet has literally abolished forgetting. Digital memory is archived forever, searchable in milliseconds. It traps individuals in an endless cultural prosecution, where the trial never actually stops. Let's think like sociologists for a second and look at the second-order effects of this. If serious disgrace always results in permanent reputational exile, people are simply going to stop admitting mistakes or seeking help. It creates a society built on dangerous concealment rather than healthy accountability. But on the flip side, if we just forget scandals instantly, trust evaporates entirely. We're caught navigating between these two extremes. We are witnessing a monumental collision. On one side, the law dictates that punishment must end. It deals in legal completion. But on the other side, search engines quietly dictate that punishment should be searchable forever. They deal in permanent recollection. And neither system knows how to accommodate the other. This constant tension forces every single generation to confront a really profound question. Are human beings actually capable of change? And if so, what evidence do we require before believing it? Who precisely gets the authority to decide when a debt is finally paid? It's literally the defining moral contradiction of the digital age. We celebrate rehabilitation and mental health in theory, yet we eagerly build communication systems that preserve every single mistake indefinitely. We preach growth, but we've designed technologies that freeze people at their absolute lowest point. Ultimately, this explainer isn't just about one broadcaster's crimes or comeback, it's about a standard that applies to literally anyone who makes a mistake in the digital era. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If justice ends, should judgment? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating architectural shift in modern morality with me.